There is a moment in every doctor's life when medicine becomes deeply personal, when the prescriptions we write are no longer for strangers, but for the people we love the most, our own parents. And I want to begin with a shocking truth. Some medications that are considered normal or routine for younger adults can quietly become dangerous, even life-threatening, after the age of 70. Not because they are bad drugs, but because the human body changes. The liver slows down. The kidneys filter less efficiently. The brain becomes more sensitive. And suddenly, what once healed can now harm. As a senior physician, I have made a quiet promise to myself. There are certain medications I would never casually give to my own parents once they cross the age of 70. Today I am going to share those with you, not to create fear, but to give you power, knowledge that could protect your loved ones. Let's begin. The first group of medications I approach with extreme caution are strong sedatives and sleeping pills, particularly drugs like diazepam or alprazolam. Now, I understand the problem. Many older adults struggle with sleep. Anxiety increases. Loneliness can creep in. These medications seem like a quick solution. But here's the hidden danger. In older adults, these drugs stay in the body much longer. They don't just help with sleep, they slow down the brain. I have seen patients who start taking these medications for insomnia, and within weeks they become confused, forgetful, unsteady on their feet. Their risk of falls doubles, sometimes triples. And a fall after 70 is not a small event. It can mean a broken hip, a hospital stay, and sometimes a permanent loss of independence. So when families ask me, "Doctor, can you give something for sleep?" I pause. I think of my own parents, and I ask instead, can we fix the root cause? Because masking the symptom is not always healing the patient. Now let's talk about something even more common: painkillers. Medications like ibuprofen and diclofenac are widely used for joint pain, back pain, and arthritis. And yes, they work. But after 70, they come with a quiet risk that many people don't realize. These drugs can damage the kidneys, worsen blood pressure, and most dangerously, cause bleeding in the stomach. I have seen elderly patients come to the hospital not with pain, but with weakness, dizziness, and black stools. Signs of internal bleeding they never saw coming. The tragedy is, many of them thought they were taking something harmless. But in medicine, especially in older age, there is no such thing as harmless when used regularly without supervision. And this brings me to the third category: certain medications used for allergies or colds, especially older antihistamines like diphenhydramine. These are often found in over-the-counter sleep aids as well. But in older adults, these medications can cause severe confusion, urinary problems, dry mouth, and even trigger symptoms that resemble dementia. Imagine that, a simple allergy pill making a person appear as if they are losing their memory. Families panic. They fear the worst. But sometimes it's not the brain, it's the medication. This is why I always tell my patients, after 70, every pill must earn its place in your body. Nothing should be taken casually. Now, there's another subtle but dangerous issue I often see, what we call polypharmacy, or taking too many medications at once. One doctor prescribes something for blood pressure. Another adds something for sleep. A third gives something for pain. Individually, each medication seems reasonable, but together, they can interact in unpredictable ways, causing dizziness, confusion, low blood pressure, and falls. And the most heartbreaking part is, many of these complications are preventable. You see, aging is not just about adding years to life. It's about protecting the quality of those years. And sometimes, the smartest medical decision is not adding a new drug, but removing an unnecessary one. But we're not done yet. There are still two more categories of medications that I would be extremely careful about. Ones that many people over 70 are taking every single day without realizing the long-term consequences. And in the next part, I'm going to reveal them, along with safer alternatives, practical strategies, and doctor-approved ways to protect your parents or yourself from silent harm. Because the goal is not just to live longer, but to live stronger, clearer, and with dignity. Now let's continue, because what I'm about to share next may be affecting millions of older adults silently, without warning. without symptoms, and without anyone realizing the long-term damage being done. The fourth category of medications I am extremely cautious about after the age of 70 is a class often used for acid reflux and heartburn, particularly drugs like omeprazole. These medications are very effective. They reduce stomach acid and bring relief from burning, discomfort, and indigestion. For short-term use, they can be incredibly helpful. But here is the problem. Many people stay on them for years, and long-term use in older adults has been linked to serious concerns. You see, stomach acid is not your enemy. It plays a vital role in absorbing essential nutrients like calcium, magnesium, and vitamin B12. When acid is suppressed for too long, the body slowly becomes deficient. Over time, this can lead to weakened bones, increased risk of fractures, fatigue, and even nerve problems. I have seen elderly patients who come in with unexplained weakness or frequent falls, and when we look deeper, we discover long-term acid suppression quietly contributing to the problem. There is also growing concern about increased risk of infections because stomach acid is one of your body's first lines of defense against harmful bacteria. So again, I ask myself, would I keep my own parents on this medication indefinitely, only if absolutely necessary, and always at the lowest effective dose, for the shortest duration possible? Now let's talk about the fifth and final category, one that is very commonly prescribed, especially for mood, nerve pain, and sleep. These are certain antidepressants and nerve-calming medications, particularly those with strong sedative or anticholinergic effects. A classic example is amitriptyline. In younger adults, it can be helpful for chronic pain or depression, but in older individuals, it can become problematic. Why? Because it can cause drowsiness, confusion, blurred vision, constipation, and difficulty urinating. It can also increase the risk of falls and affect heart rhythm. I have seen patients become withdrawn, sluggish, and mentally foggy, not because of aging, but because of the medication meant to help them. And this is where clinical judgment becomes deeply human, because as doctors, we must always ask, not just, does this drug treat the condition, but does it improve the person's life? If the answer is no, then we must rethink. Now, I want to be very clear. I am not saying these medications are bad. They have their place. They save lives, they relieve suffering. But after 70, the margin for error becomes very small. The body becomes more sensitive, side effects become more powerful, and the cost of a mistake becomes much higher. So what should you do? First, never stop any medication suddenly without consulting your doctor. That can be dangerous. But do start asking questions. Ask, do I still need this? Ask, is there a safer alternative? Ask, can the dose be reduced? Second, focus on non-drug solutions whenever possible. For sleep, improve routine, reduce screen time at night, get sunlight during the day. For pain, explore gentle movement, physiotherapy, and strengthening exercises. For acid reflux, adjust diet, eat smaller meals, avoid lying down immediately after eating. These may sound simple, but they are powerful, because true medicine is not always found in a pill bottle. And finally, I want you to remember something very important. Aging is not a disease. It is a natural, beautiful process, but it requires a different kind of care, a more thoughtful, more cautious, more personalized approach. If there is one message I want to leave you with, it is this. Every medication should have a clear purpose, a clear benefit, and a clear review, because the goal is not just to treat illness. The goal is to protect clarity of mind, strength of body, and independence of life. If you have elderly parents, sit with them. Review their medications. Have that conversation. It might feel small, but it could prevent a fall, a hospitalization, or even save a life. And if you are over 70 yourself, know this. You deserve care that is careful, respectful, and wise. Not more medications, but better decisions. Because in the end, the best prescription I can give my patients, and my own parents, is not just a drug. It is protection. It is awareness. It is love guided by knowledge. Take care of your health, because every year of life is a gift worth protecting.